Kevin McGuffey joining us from Last Word on College Football to talk up this Saturday's big game in the SEC Eastern Division. Kentucky hosting Florida. The Gators, of course, this close to being 0-2 in Kentucky at 3-0. Couple fairly close, basically one-score wins out of the gate against a couple group of fives, Kevin, and then going to South Carolina as a bit of a substantial underdog. It wasn't a shock that Kentucky won, but South Carolina had beaten what we thought were two pretty good football teams, especially in North Carolina State. And so the confidence boost from going on the road, first SEC game, taking on a 2-0 team that they were starting to build some momentum there in South Carolina, and being able to come away with a 2-score win, I would think would have really boosted the fan base and the team morale.
Oh, yes, definitely. Going into last week, everybody, most of the media picked South Carolina. I mean, I will admit it, in my preview for the ball game last week, last word on college football, I picked South Carolina to win, so I bought into it as well. But, the team and the coaching staff used it as a motivating tool, said, okay, everyone's disrespecting us. We're going to come out and we're going to play, and we're going to show you you're wrong. And that's exactly what happened after that first play of the game where, Deebo Samuel got that 68-yard, pass from Jake Bentley. Kentucky pretty much dominated the game from there on out. But as you said, Saturday night, it's tomorrow night, it's just going to be nuts. It's the first sellout in 2 years at Kroger Field. Still have trouble calling it Kroger Field. I want to call it Commonwealth Stadium. But since the Auburn game, which was the Thursday night game 2 years ago, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere, and I think the players are going to feed off that. And like I said, it's going to help them hope to win this game. But as you said, the South Carolina was a huge I think it was a huge confidence boost. Because you said, they struggled. Honestly, they struggled against Southern Mississippi. They struggled against Eastern Kentucky, who's an FCS school. They were behind at one point, 13-3, and trailed at the half before they finally turned it on. But it's like, okay, something, they flipped the switch and boom, it was just like a totally different team last weekend.
So Benny Snell in that game ran it 32 times for 102 yards, not necessarily shredding the South Carolina defense, but definitely Mark Stoops showing a commitment to running the ball, keeping the ball away from Jake Bentley and company, and it obviously paid off. Stephen Johnson with a big 54-yard run late in that game to kind of seal the victory, and the defense playing extremely well in the red zone and keeping South Carolina pretty much off the scoreboard, only 13 points.
Yeah, definitely. Through the first two games, Eddie Gran, the offensive coordinator, the Wildcat just wasn't, they kept running the Wildcat. It just didn't seem to be working. Grant even said after the Eastern game, said, we might not run the Wildcat anymore this season. Of course, it's total coach speak. So, they came out on Saturday and ran it to great success. But I think, part of the issue that's, Snell, his yards per game or yards per carry is down a little bit. Kentucky's had so many injuries on the offensive line. They lost John Toth to graduation last year. And then in the preseason, they lost Cole Mosier, who's one of their starting tackles. And then Bunchy Stallings, they've had a lot of injury problems. They've been having to shuffle guys in and out a lot. Some guys who they may not necessarily thought was going to play a lot this year, have already been in, a lot these first couple of games. And I think it took a couple of games to get everybody, kind of on that same page. And then you saw a much better offensive effort with the running game. And I expect them to come out on Saturday and, try to run the ball with the Gators. Florida's defense, at least stat-wise, if you look at it, they're down near the bottom in rushing defense, which in theory should play right up to, Kentucky's strength.